миру. Концертный зал Мейсон Холл. 6 декабря. Театр у Никитских ворот под руководством Марка Розовского представляет спектакль по пьесе Владимира Войновича «Белые BMW». Золотой слиток беспощадной сатиры о нравах тех, кто вокруг нас. Достанется всем, можете не сомневаться, говорят авторы и создатели спектакля. Зрительный зал поразят острые осколки юмора и взрывная волна смеха. Мастер-театр. 24 января. Михаил Ефремов и Дмитрий Быков. В новой программе «Прямая речь». Концертный зал Мейсон Холл. Билеты в театральных кассах на сайте театр.ком и по телефону 718-303-8888.
620 АМ. Здесь и остановимся. Дэвид Зон Радио.
You may think. To find out how, please call F.J. Hankel at 516-431-6662. That's 516-431-6662. Again, 516-431-6662, and learn how you can become the host of your own radio show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Just Enough Heshy Show. My co-host, Esty, tonight is running late. I think she hurt her neck, so I don't know what's going on with Esty, but she's going to be around, as well as my buddy and the voice of reason, Neil. Yes, he is coming in tonight, especially tonight. We're going to need Neil because we have a lot to talk about. We're going to have some special guests on the show, and we're going to be talking about very hot topics tonight on the show. First of all, I want to give a shout out. We have a bunch of listeners from Baruch College and Touro College. Welcome to our show. You can get us on YouTube, live on YouTube, and also after it. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. You can hashtag me at Just Enough Heshy, Heshy, or you can get me on YouTube by just typing in Just Enough Heshy. And you can call into the show, which we'll announce a couple times during the show, at 718-303-9090. Again, 718-303-9090. I don't have my co-host here to mix me up, so I'm getting mixed up. By the way, everybody, our last two shows are on September 7 and 8. We're going to be ending season 1, and I'm hoping that you had a good time with us. And we're going to start back up on October the 12th after the holiday season. Our shows are being sponsored by Mr. Clean. He's a pick-up and drop-off delivery cleaning service. He gives you 25% off if you mention the Just Enough Heshy Show, and you can reach him at 347-369-3051, 347-369-3051. It's not Mr. Clean that cleans the floors, the liquid. It's Mr. Clean delivers. Wonderful man, Chaim, and he gives you a good deal and he takes good care of us. Also, the Black Label electric cigarette. You can buy it. He's selling 10 pieces and you get one free. And also, they're very cheap, like $1.10 a piece, and you get 2 in each package. Black Label electric cigarette. You can get them on BL Premium, PREMIUMECIG.com, or just call Mikey, my friends, 561-239-8941. Again, 561-239-8941. And of course, not last but not least, even though my phones are ringing already, Green Line Building Solutions. We do asbestos and lead inspections, DOB, HPD, code compliance. We help you lift stop work orders. We do plans and permits and expediting and anything that can help you get you to the finish line. Call us. We have free consultations, 718-871-0382, 718-871-0382. Yes, my voice of reason has showed up, Neil. I thought I was all alone tonight. I don't know. Esty hurt her neck, and we have some guests. By the way, I screamed out we're going to be having a lot of listeners from Baruch College and Touro College, Neil. So shout out and say hello to them. I guess Neil's not going to do that. Most importantly, my nephew recently, Michael Levy, a beautiful boy, got engaged to his
a big shout out to the college boys from Baruch College and
Touro College.
Touro College.
That's right. Big shout out. My nephew last week got engaged. His name is Michael Levy, a beautiful boy. He got engaged. Mazal Tov to a Danielle David, wonderful, beautiful girl, and she's so nice. She was already coming over to me saying, "Uncle Heshy, Uncle Heshy." So she knew how to already kiss up and do it correctly. You understand, right, Neil?
Well, so, she thought she's got your blood. So,
well, right, she will have some of our blood soon, so it's a good thing she did that. So everybody, again, you can call in and speak to our guest house, 718-303-9090, or you could just watch us live on YouTube. Again, Just Enough Heshy, or you could just email me if you want to hear our sponsors or ask us questions, or I'll be speaking about it live on the air at justenoughheshy@gmail.com.
Right.
Now, Neil, I know you have some issues that you want to discuss, so we're going to get...
Only because it's the time of year to discuss it.
And I'm going to get to that in a minute. And we have a guest that I want you to... Our guest today that we're going to be speaking to, he's going to be a calling guest. He's Dr. Lawrence Gelman. He's CEO of a major South Texas hospital in South... Of course, it's South Texas-based physician. He's a and he's a hospital administrator. He's a conservative activist and a media personality. By the way, he's a very, very important person. Dr. Gelman.
What kind of doctor is he?
Okay, first of all, he's much sought after. He's an expert in healthcare, which we're going to talk about Obamacare tonight. And he's a right to life person. It means he's against abortion, something that I am not too happy that he's against.
Yeah, I wonder if he has any exceptions.
Well, we're going to talk to him about that.
You know, like if you're pregnant, there's an exception.
So since we didn't start
You're not gonna laugh.
I'm going to laugh at that. There's always an exception. I do. Can I tell you my quote for the day? To start the show? And I'm going to tell you this quote because I liked it. I wasn't going to use this one. I had a whole bunch of good ones, but this one I really wanted to start the show with when I saw it.
This one from 3 in the morning or 4:30?
No, you didn't get this one today, by the way.
Uh-huh.
I, Uncle Heshy. Not events. That means it's all of us. Okay, guys? It's I means you. Not events have the power to make me or you happy or unhappy today. I can choose which it shall be. Yesterday is dead. Tomorrow hasn't arrived. I have just one day today, and I'm going to make it be happy, and I'm going to be happy in it. Guys, I know you all hear it. Yesterday's yesterday, today's the present, tomorrow's tomorrow. But this is it. This is what does it for you, okay? Not the events that have the power to make me happy. It's you that has the power to make you happy. It's you that has the power to do good.
Okay, but let's just take it a step further. If you don't feel that way, you should look into yourself a little bit and see why you can't get that.
Right.
And try to change that.
Right. But don't,
because you have a whole life ahead of you.
You have a whole right, exactly.
And there's no reason not to be happy.
Right. And
There's
no reason
whatsoever.
to jump off a building, no reason to hurt
God
yourself.
Forbid. And so many, I heard in the Orthodox community, how many suicides
right
there
now.
are.
I know because after that girl told us on Footsteps about it, I started to look into it. It's so many that are having these issues and cutting their risks. And this weekend when I went to the hospital, it was like, wow, so many people are going into the hospital trying to commit suicide. It's not good. Anyways, I want to.
By the way, remember we had Rabbi Jeremy Stern on?
I want to talk
from
about
OADA. I don't know,
okay,
whatever it was, some organization to help Akuno there.
Yeah,
and he was telling me about some prenum
and some other stuff. Yeah,
I went to the website and I read the prenum. I'm not sure I understood it correctly, but if I did, I would never sign such a paper.
Wow.
So, Rabbi Jeremy Stern, if you're out there or one of your reps, give us a call, 718-303-9090.
We have Dr. Gelman on the line, but I want to get to him in a minute. But I want to tell, usually I start the show also with an inspirational story, okay? And so today I didn't want to bring an inspirational story from the past, the Holocaust, people to cry. I want to tell you a story that I think is a joke, and it's an inspirational story that Neil is going to love it. A guy there was a farmer, okay? He had a farm, and a DEA agent comes to his door and he knocks on the door and he says, "Hey, Mr. Farmer, I want to go check for your property for illegal drugs." And the farmer says, "I don't understand. What are you doing? I mean, it's my property. I have a badge." And he whips out his badge. "I can do anything. I can go wherever I want, and you can't stop me." So the guy, he says, "Okay, but I'm going to ask you a question." The guy tells him, this rancher and this farmer in Texas, he says, "But I don't want you to go over to that field." And he points to a field. "I don't want you to go over there." And the DEA officer verbally explodes. "Mister, I have the authority of the federal government with me." And again, he shows his badge. He removes his badge proudly, displays it to the rancher. He says, "You see this badge? This badge means I'm allowed to go wherever I want, wherever I wish, on any land, no questions asked, no answers given. I have made myself clear. Do you understand? Shut up." So the rancher nods politely and apologizes. "Go," he says, "go, do what you got to do." And he goes about his chores. And while the rancher is walking around, a short time later, he hears loud screams. And he sees the DEA officer running for his life, chased by the rancher's big Santa gratuitous bull. You know what I mean? It's a big bull. And he's running, but every step he's screaming and the bull is gaining ground on the officer. And it seems likely that he'll be gored before he reaches the safety, before he reaches safety. So the officer is clearly terrified and screaming, "Help, help." And the rancher throws down his tools, runs to the fence and yells at the top of his lungs, "Your badge! Show him your badge!" So listen to me, everybody.
That is great. That is so good.
Here's my inspirational story. Don't let them push you around. You know what I mean? These guys with the badges, they do not have the right to go wherever they want. Yesterday, I had some things that happened to me about 2 years ago that really hurt me and depressed me. And I thought I was in a very bad place. And I've been screaming at God and hollering at God. And my friend Penny came with me yesterday for like 14 hours in the car, 20 hours, whatever. We went to visit people. And I bitched and complained about it the whole time. And when I got back, Penny says to me, "I understand you. You see where this guy is. He's in a worse place than you can ever imagine. He's struggling and suffering and he's smiling about it and he's hurting. And you are complaining about what you went through a couple years ago." Each of us has our own plight. Each of us has our own thing. Don't think that you have that badge and you're powerful and whatever it is. Hey, be good. Be clear that your situations are different. Don't hurt yourself. It's today's events that you can change it. You have to be happy. And that's my inspirational story for the day. And by the way, before we get to Dr. Gelman, which we're going to get to right now.
718-303.
718-303. You got me and Neil tonight. And maybe if Heshy shows up in half an hour, we got to talk to Heshy too. But Neil, do you know two things? First of all, you know that the Trump is gaining. Trump is like neck and neck with somebody else on his. I was reading it today on the website that Trump is not in first place anymore. He's very close, or somebody else is.
Ben Carson?
I think Ben Carson, correct.
In one state.
It's only one state?
I'm not sure.
It says here, for Trump, first time ever, Donald Trump doesn't have the outright lead in the poll. And for the first time in 6 weeks, that in the nation's crucial voting state, that neurosurgeon Ben Carson tied for the lead among Iowa Republicans. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, and women, and Hillary's only 7 points a lead against Bernie Sanders. They're all catching up on them.
Yeah. Yeah. I listen. I don't really believe Trump is going to end up going for it, or what have you, because I don't really believe he spent any real money yet. He's keeping it to a minimum because all the stations pick him up, whatever he says. He's not paying for any ads yet or anything like that. He doesn't have no big crew except a security crew, So the guy's not all in yet. He's in talk, but he's not all in as far as financially that he put enough in that he can't turn around. Because he won't be able to take the loss like that. That's the truth. That's my opinion. That's my opinion of good old Donald Trump. But I got questions for the doctor. Okay,
we're gonna get to we're gonna get to that. But I want to ask you a question. I was recently I was watching Fox News, and somebody sent me a video that Dov Hikind was, our great assemblyman, Dov Hikind, who helps us so much with all the nothings that he does. So he went on Fox News to scream about the Iran.
Yeah, he's trying to get attention.
Trying to get attention.
That's why him and 5 guys went to the Schumer office.
Exactly. And he went to Schumer. So finally he gets on the television. The guy's talking to him. He says, Schumer finally changed his mind, but Gillibrand and Nadler are against this Iran treaty. So the guy...
not against.
They're for it. And he's screaming, and he said, I just came back from Israel. Again, Hikind, you're in Israel. Hikind, you're back about the Iran nuclear deal. I understand you, Hikind. We ask you if you're for abortion or against abortion. Well, I can't vote for it, so I have no idea what to tell you about it. We ask you, are you for gay marriage or against gay marriage? Well, I can't vote for it. There's nothing I can do about it. But we ask you, are you for Iran or against the Iran deal? Oh, you're against the Iran deal, and you're working your way on how to stop this federal crisis, what the whole world is working on. You can't work on little issues, on gay marriages, on abortion, on fixing our streets, on getting our budget, getting our homeless in, but you're so busy with the Iran thing, Mr. Hikind, and I wanted to play his video. You got to hear it. So the guy asks him on the show, Mr. Hikind, did you speak to Gillibrand? And he automatically, Gillibrand said this. He says, no, Mr. Hikind. Did you speak to Gillibrand? And he says, Gillibrand had this. And then, by the way, he jumps as a politician. Else. He says, but you just said that you have an opinion from Gillibrand. You're a politician. You know all the big guys.
Yeah, why don't you make a phone call?
So Gillibrand's not talking to little lowly Mr. Hikind, who's 30 years in business over there, and he actually accomplishes nothing. Mr. Nadler, Mr. Hikind's best buddy, right? Mr. Nadler, his buddy, they hang around all the time. Why didn't you change Mr. Nadler? Why didn't you go on a debate with him? Why didn't you speak to him on your radio show? Why didn't you get Jerry to explain his...
I'll be honest. What I really don't understand is that this deal sucks. Anybody who looks at it knows that all it's doing is empowering the Iranians, getting them back on their feet. And that's all it's doing, which is very bad for the world. I can't believe the Europeans aren't literally peeing in their pants that these Iranians are going to have nukes. Remember, Europe is a lot closer than America,
I got you.
It's nuts.
Now,
that's why Saudi Arabia has ordered from Pakistan, I believe, set of nukes.
Do you know who I'm very proud of right now?
Right now?
I don't like her. The city council, the head of the city council, the lady of the head of the city council.
Yeah. She's a tough lady.
She's a tough lady. I didn't think I liked her. I didn't think she know what she's doing. So she went out and she says, you know what? These ladies who walked around topless in Times Square, I have no problem with it. She says, we're so busy with real issues that we have to bring up, and you're all busy with this stupid topless issue, Mr. Bratton and Mr. Kelly and Mr. All that.
1 minute here, 1 minute. This is on the same line as de Blasio, who said, no, the city's not going back to its old days. We're in control. We're working on equality and quality of life at the same time. We could do both. Meanwhile, you got people all over the streets and robberies, muggings, and crap like that. And he wants to make believe, just like the speed limit doesn't mean anything to him, and he's allowed to go more than 25 miles an hour. I don't know if that's legal, by the way, but he goes. I want to see the cop who gives him a ticket.
I got it. Do you know? But you know that Trump said that he wants to repeal the 14th Amendment.
Right, anchor babies.
Anchor babies. That would not only to hurt the regular immigrants.
No, nothing to do with the regular immigrants.
Sure, because they're children.
Just no. They're children of illegal immigrants.
Right. To be born in, so now he has the power as president to repeal an amendment. Am I correct?
No, this is the Constitution. You need everybody to agree almost.
Well, somehow he says he's going to be able to get it done. And he's going to throw, and he wants to throw 11 minutes.
They say it would take 10, 15 years.
So my question to you is why can't he repeal the Second Amendment and get rid of gun control completely? Why can't he repeal the amendment or whatever it is with abortion?
Why do you want to get rid of guns?
I want to get rid of guns.
Why?
Because I can't take it. After this, did you see
I got a question.
Did you see what happened to that news reporter?
I saw what happened to everything, to the cop, to the news
reporter.
The cop. Why forget the cop? He was filling up his car with gas, and somebody came and shot him 15 times.
Right.
Listen.
The cop was a target. I understood that one. He could have got to, but this lady sitting on the television, this guy walks up to her, shoots her on live TV. Oh my God. I want to kill
but
him.
How do you, most of the guns that make the problem, if you would check it out statistically, I have not.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure most of the guns that are causing issues are illegal guns by people who have illegal guns. Period.
Okay.
I don't believe people that go through the process of getting a gun walk around, mugging people.
Okay.
It seems like a more,
I got you. Anyways, everybody, you're listening to the Just Enough Heshy Show. I hope you college kids
Who's paying for this, by the way?
Already, you blew it. I already did the advertising. We're going to do it in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk to Dr. Gelman, and let me push the button and let me get Dr. Gelman on the line. Dr. Gelman, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you.
How are you? You're on the show with Heshy, Uncle Heshy, and Neil, my voice of reason. Esty's not here, and we're so happy and glad you're joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I did introduce you a little bit that you are against abortion as well as you don't like Obamacare, something that I happen to like very much. Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about your opinions.
Well, I'm an anesthesiologist, and I'm in private practice, and one other person myself decided that we were going to build our own hospital, and now it's the largest physician-owned facility in the United States. And what I learned from that process was what our founding fathers are trying to achieve. It's one thing to read about it in a book, it's another thing to live it. And what we tried to do was free the doctors from the tyranny of corporate medicine and government medicine. And so there's a lot of parallels in how we achieved that and how our forefathers achieved what they achieved. And those parallels continue into the decline, both of healthcare and of the nation.
So Doc,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I could go on, but I just prefer you ask me questions.
That's what I'm going to do.
I can tell you.
But Doctor, an anesthesiologist, explain. I mean, I know what it means, but explain to the audience what you do.
Essentially, we create the environment that allows the surgeon to perform operations and to do so safely on a human being. That we maintain physiological homeostasis, so that the patient remains in a good physiological state while the surgeon is basically doing a lot of very nasty things and trying to cure the patient of whatever disease or problem that they have.
So, 1 minute. You own. This is Neil. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Sure.
You own a hospital now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How many?
Well, I'm one of the owners.
How many beds?
Over 500.
Over 500. You accept your emergency room has to accept anyone that walks in?
Yes, that's state law.
That's state law. And do they pay you for it? The state?
No.
It's a freebie.
Well, it's like anywhere else. I mean, it's federal government mandates. They're required to do things, but they don't provide funding for it. So they call it unfunded or charity care.
Mm-hmm.
So you have
most hospitals do that.
So I understand. Then hospitals. And I know that if you walk into any emergency room today, you're looking at $400 or $500 without even blinking. You're taking people in and just not. You can't charge. You can't do nothing about it.
No, we can charge, but we can't. We're very limited as to how to be paid. If they're unfunded, all we can do is ask for payment. There's very little else we can't really twist our arms like as if we were retail merchants.
So if you had Obamacare, which is very good, then everybody has health insurance and you have no problem charging the uninsured. I mean, now that everybody gets insured, you have no problem charging the government. And even if somebody doesn't have insurance under Obamacare, say, look, this guy walked in, he didn't have insurance. We're going to charge you for it because everybody should have Obamacare.
But first of all, there's a lot of holes in your argument. If you're not a citizen of the United States, you don't fall under the Obamacare system. So the 20 million undocumented individuals are out of the system. If you don't pay federal income tax, you're also out of the system because the system is structured to apply a penalty if you don't buy insurance. But the penalty is tied to your taxpayer status. So if you're like 50% of the people who don't pay federal income tax, then they're out of the system also. But I think we're really off base in the way this is being presented. The fact of the matter is that the Affordable Care Act is unconstitutional, but no more or less unconstitutional than Medicaid and Medicare.
Yeah, but I'll get back to that in a second. I just want to know, but in reality, is somebody's paying for the hospital to do this service? In other words, that's
I already explained to you.
No, I'm just saying, but that's why a normal patient with normal insurance does, pay for a bed a lot of money and does, pay for the famous, I don't know, $20 Tylenol or whatever it is.
What they pay for is their health care and the saving of their life and the prolongation of their life. In 1964, the average life expectancy of an American was 64 years of age. Now it's over 80. That's what the healthcare system has done.
Doctor, I want to ask you, Doctor, a question.
There was an article.
Doctor, I know that hospitals, even privately owned hospitals, they are getting government grants. You're getting grants or different research grants from all over the place. You are getting donations. You are getting money coming in from all over the place. It's not possible.
We're not getting donations, and we're not getting any research grants. And the money that the government gives in lump sums does in no way cover the services we provide.
So what do you mean the government provides you with money? And say that everybody had to cover health insurance every time they walked into you. Would you still take government funding?
I don't even know what that means. Right now you have the Medicaid and Medicare system, which do not cover the costs of what is being provided. You have all these unfunded people with mandates. So you're creating hypotheticals. Why don't we just deal with what actually is versus these hypotheticals which don't exist?
Okay, so before the hypotheticals, Why did you go into this business?
Because I wanted to help people, make them do better. And the reason we built a hospital was to provide a better service than the corporate hospitals were providing in our community.
Are you a non-profit hospital?
No, we're a for-profit hospital, but every dollar that a profit gets put back into expansion and equipment.
Wow.
And nonprofits, that's a kind of a scam. Those nonprofits are not really nonprofit. They divert huge sums of money to their administrators, where their CEOs are making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. I did not get a salary as CEO of this hospital for 8 years. And so, if you really kind of have to understand the system in order to properly evaluate it.
I don't know, Doc. I see doctors who are just out of this world, who make so much money, and then I see doctors who don't make. I mean, either it's that they're not running the books correctly, or I mean, I love hospitals. I volunteer in the emergency room many times. I help take friends in, and I see they're very busy. I see that a lot of the people there are filling out their insurance forms and cards. I mean, of a place that just can't make a profit and can't seem to, somehow you have to continue. You can't be losing millions and millions of dollars. So there's got to be a way that money is coming in or being generating and paying all these nurses and doctors and machineries. And I mean, you do wonderful work. Don't get me wrong. I've seen this last week alone how you help, not you, but one of the hospitals, my local hospital, helped a friend of mine fix his heartbeat that was 147 beats per minute and got it down normally, how they took care of him. Another friend of mine who got very sick who needed a stem into his heart. And so many people that, I mean, trust me, I love hospitals the way you guys did. I love that you guys do for people.
Right.
But I don't believe that the hospitals are not making money. And I know that with a proper, the way I see it on TV, okay, the way I see it on the
lots of hospitals are going out of business, okay. And so I'm once again, I'm having difficulty understanding the point of this entire conversation.
My whole purpose here is that you have a hospital that we're talking about Obamacare. You're against Obamacare.
I'm also against Medicaid and Medicare.
Why?
Because they're unconstitutional.
Why?
They're unconstitutional because the federal government doesn't have the authority to force some people to pay for other people's health care. They don't have the authority to give some people things at the expense of others.
So
they don't have the authority to do that.
What's your solution?
How did all pass then?
You make it seem like the government is there, this almighty entity that has all this largesse. The government gets money by stealing it from the people, and it starts off a bunch to itself, and it funnels a bunch to its friends, and then leaves a pittance to the people providing the services. Medicare and Medicaid are advertised as providing health care to the poor and the elderly. That is not what they do. They've removed the decision-making process from the patient and from the physician and transferred to the government so they can enrich their friends and relatives and cronies and contributors. So the vast majority of Medicaid and Medicare dollars are misappropriated by the government. Given to I'm not talking about welfare clinics, none of that stuff. I'm talking about the people that run Pfizer, the people that run Glaxo, the people that run Boston Scientific. They're making a fortune because the system has been skewed into the direction of the wealthy corporate executives that have tremendous influence with our political class.
So our representatives just basically you're saying since when did Medicaid come in?
64. Let me give you a little example. Maybe you can understand it. The average cost of Medicaid per eligible individual in the United States is $11,000 per person. Not per family, but per person. But Medicaid reimburses for necessary procedures the hospital and physician at 25% the rate of private insurance. Okay? let's go. Okay, you can go look up those numbers. So in Medicare, the cost per Medicare patient is $17,000. There are $17,000 per patient. Plus, there's a 20% copay for Part B. Plus, you have to pay for Part B, which ranges from $1,500 to $3,000 a year. And then there's a deductible that's $1,000 that resets every 60 days. Medicare reimburses less than half of private insurance reimburses. A heart surgeon doing a Medicare patient, and you can understand what a heart surgeon has to be to become a heart surgeon. 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, 5 years of general surgery, then 2 to 3 years of specialty training. The average bypass procedure requires 4 to 6 hours. And then you have to take care of that patient both before and after for a long period of time. Very intensive care. The average reimbursement by Medicare to a heart surgeon is under $3,000. So you think that's what you're worth, $3,000? Meanwhile, look where all this other money goes. When Barack Obama has a birthday party, he spends millions to invite his little friends. Do you think that's justified for a heart surgeon to go through all that training, work day and night, be available 24 hours a day, have to take care of these patients, doing very intricate and highly complex procedures, and then get paid by Medicare $2,500 to $3,000 for a 4 to 6 hour procedure? A lawyer wouldn't work for that.
Well, but forget the lawyer. You said, doctor, that you do this to help people and love people. And I mean, I don't think that's a bad payday that a guy makes $2,500 in a less than an 8-hour schedule. And I know what you're saying. 4 years of college.
Well, you got a big problem. You have a really big problem.
Doctor, let me finish.
You have a really
You don't want me to finish. Let me just ask the question. I understand the 4 years of college, the 5 years of medical school, the 4 years of residency, and I understand the specialty stuff he has to go through.
7 years of residency.
And I understand all the loans that he has to pay. So I believe that a doctor who maybe we should work it out with the government, that a doctor who goes through all this procedure and does a certain amount of time under his belt should get compensated from the government to repay all of that past student loans and so on.
Look, this is such a simplistic response that you have. You miss the entire point. The quality healthcare requires quality people. You want to pay LeBron James $100,000 a year, he's going to find something else to do, okay? You want to have quality people, you want to have high-quality medicine, you have to pay for it. Otherwise, you're going to get second-rate and third-rate quality healthcare like they have in Europe and the rest of the world. It's just amazing to me how you can't seem to understand what it takes for someone to be a heart surgeon or a neurosurgeon and how complex it is what they do.
Oh, I understand.
And if you think $2,500.
No, Doc, I'm not saying you should. I charge more than that for my services. But my question to you is what is your solution for the uninsured then, or the Medicaid? Let them all die. Let's get rid of them. Let them use the.
What is this all die stuff? What is all this die stuff? Where were you when there was no heart surgery and no angioplasty? You know when the first heart surgery was done in the United States? 1968. So people were dying in the streets before that, okay? So why don't you get your historical hat on and take a look at where healthcare is today?
Well, go back 100 years ago, Doc, and people were dying from polio. Go back 100 years ago, we have many
less
things.
than 100 years ago.
That's right. The 1930s. That's right. That's why. But that's why we educate. And that's why. But that's why we're educating. But that's why we're educating, and that's why the government's up. But Doc, let me stop this.
The government. Look. This is really getting kind of tiresome.
Okay, Doc.
The government is not capable of determining anything that it doesn't understand. The government makes things expensive. The government makes things difficult to attain. The government makes medical care more expensive than it ought to be, makes access more difficult than it ought to be. Why don't you go visit a VA hospital? That's government health care. Why don't you go visit a county hospital? That's government health care. You want the whole country to be like the VA system? I worked in 4 VA hospitals. My daughter worked at a VA hospital. They are the worst places in the world. It's a disgrace to our veterans for them to have, for that kind of a system being imposed on them. They have the worst people working over there. They're completely corrupt and inept. You don't see congressmen and senators going there. They go to their own little private deals or their own little private insurance. Government is bad in everything that it does. So when you're sitting there talking to me, telling me that, oh, let the government determine how much a doctor should be paid, let a government determine how healthcare should be controlled and regulated, then this is not a discussion we're going to have.
So what is a guy like me, Dr. Gelman, who has no insurance? What do I do?
The government spends right now $1.2 trillion between Medicare and Medicaid. That is equal to the gross domestic product of Russia. That money, most of that money, $800 billion, is misappropriated. And okay, if you gave everybody, what I would do for you is I would have the government give everybody a voucher. Every American will get a voucher. The same way every American gets a common defense, everybody, we're going to say that healthcare is the same level as a common defense. And we're going to guarantee access and universal healthcare access by giving every single American a voucher so they can buy insurance or they can apply for their healthcare costs. And that will actually cost less than what the healthcare system costs now.
Beautiful. That is a great answer. That is a great solution.
I'm not sure how it helps.
He's saying that everybody gets a voucher to go buy private insurance.
What is it? It's not an unlimited voucher.
No, it's an unlimited voucher.
No.
I've already looked at all this stuff. The average insured premium for an individual
is $11,000. I think you told us.
It is $5,500. You know, that's what I'm paying. I mean, come on, who do you think you're talking? The average cost for a private insurance is for an individual, not a family, but for an individual is $5,500. I would give every single American, 250 million American adults, a $6,000 voucher. That's $1.5 trillion. Now, Medicaid allocates $1,500 per child. That's what they say is adequate for a child. We will give every American child a voucher of $2,000. That would add another $100 billion or so. Your total cost, $1.7 trillion, $1.8 trillion. Right now, healthcare costs $2.5 trillion between the private and the public sector. Furthermore, you eliminate all your issues with prior medical conditions, portability, and all these other issues because you take your insurance with you, and then you have the law that says once you're insured, an insurance company cannot raise your rates, nor can they take away your insurance because of a condition that arises once you're insured. And that eliminates your pre-existing condition problem.
That is wonderful, Doc. You see, I like that. That is a wonderful. I never even thought of it that way, but that is beautiful. Let everybody go buy real insurance instead of signing up for Medicaid and Medicare. Get a voucher, like a school voucher, whatever, and we will tell you, hey, you want to go to Oxford, you want to go to whatever, Blue Cross, sign up with them. Here's the money for it, and this way you have a private insurance. And anybody, brilliant idea, Doc. I like that very much, Doc. I'm going to tell you to wait a minute if you don't mind. Stay on hold a second. Our show is 718-303-99. If you want to speak to Dr. Gelman or anybody on the show, we're on Monday and Tuesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. You can get us on Facebook and Twitter, hashtag me at Justin of Heshy, or YouTube us at Justin of Heshy, and just type in YouTube, or of course email me at justinofheshy, HESHY, gmail.com. Again, our show ends on September 8th, our last show, season 1, and we start back on October 12th for season 2. Our show is being sponsored by Mr. Clean Delivers. He picks up and drop off 25% off. If you mention our show, you get 25% discount. 347-369-3051. You can get any of our sponsors by just emailing me at Justin of Heshy. Black Label. Black Label Electric Cigarette. You can get me at Mikey, 561-239-8941, 561-239-8541. And we're also sponsored by Green Line Building Solutions, asbestos and lead inspections, DOB, HPD, code compliance, stop lift work orders, plans, permits, expediting, 718-871-0382, and we have free consultation. Doc, I want to ask you another question, and so does Neil. We're gonna Neil. Do you want to ask him a question first?
I want to change the topic.
Me too.
I'd like to first go to, it seems like the last couple of months, I don't know, I've been hearing about it for about 6 months, and now it becomes a big issue because schools are starting. There are some people out there that are telling parents not to get the immunization for their children. To me, that really reeks of irresponsibility. What do you think about that?
Well, yes, everyone needs to be immunized. The problem that we have in this country is that we have forgotten the past, when diseases like diphtheria, polio, measles, whooping cough decimated entire populations, killed all the children in the family. But now we have become so accustomed to avoidance of those diseases that we have too much free time. Okay, and so people are very gullible, and they're very susceptible to charlatans, snake oil salesmen, and the like. And so they'll believe pretty much anything that people tell them. So if someone tells, we have people that say, well, polio was eradicated and smallpox was eradicated coincidentally with the vaccine, even though we have hundreds and hundreds of years of polio and smallpox that have eliminated entire civilizations. But coincidentally, just when they invented a vaccine for these diseases, then they went away. And people believe that.
That's not what happened? The vaccine didn't make it go away? No. I mean, if you talk to Jim Carrey, no. It was just a coincidence. But part of that claim is that it causes autism or other things like that. But I really don't understand.
Wait, one second. The people that were claiming that attributed it to a component within the vaccine itself. The state of California removed that component a number of years ago, and their research shows no change of the incidence of autism once they took out that one factor from the vaccine. So that's already been looked at and shown to be
I think you have to really be pretty dense to not look at the last 40 years and understand about polio and smallpox and all of these things that have basically gone from our communities, and it's rarely an issue. But over the last few years, as the nonsense news comes out that, there's trouble with these vaccines, you do hear some places they get the measles, they get even polio. I saw in some community a couple of people got. And I'm just thinking, isn't this a life and death situation? I mean, how do they have the nerve to even suggest that someone doesn't vaccinate their children is beyond pale to me.
When I was a child, the health authorities would come to the hospital. All the students would go to the gymnasium and line up. And there would be a doctor and a nurse at a desk with a bunch of syringes piled up. And every one of us went in single file. This was a polio vaccine. It was still the injectable before the little sherbet tubes.
Yeah.
Before the attenuated. And that was just considered accepted. That's when government functioned. when government functioned to benefit the people and not to benefit itself. Now the whole system has been corrupted because the government is in bed with a bunch of
Lobbyists.
rich lobbyists. But before you guys cut me off,
No, I'm not cutting.
I know you were talking before about abortion. You see, I'm not really on this program as a physician, and that wasn't meant to be. I'm not here to give clinical advice. I have done a tremendous amount of research on the Constitution, the founding of the country, and all that kind of stuff that nobody teaches in school anymore. And I know that I was listening to you speak earlier about the abortion issue, and I would like to talk about that and reference it to the Constitution and to science.
Okay,
if you're still interested.
I'm very interested because it's a very hot topic for me. But I want to take a caller, Doc. We have a Dr. Vilka Janice who wants to ask you a question. Go ahead, patch her in. She wants to ask you a quick question, Doc. Take a listen.
Sure.
Hello, Dr. Vilka.
Hi, it's Victoria.
Dr. Victoria, sorry.
Hi. So I think the conversation, and not because I'm a physician and I sympathize the physician's obviously opinion on the show, but I 100% agree with his opinion. It is ridiculous to now the administrative and government involvement in clinical issues, and with all due respect, just like we physicians do not intervene or do not recommend non-clinical opinions unless we're experts in the field. Non-clinicians should not be interfering with medicine. And I think one of the tremendous problems that's happening in this country, and I hope I'm not that rude, basically non-experts make recommendations to experts, starting from pharmaceutical intervention, the clinical management, the drug prescription, and so forth. So I absolutely agree. And I respect the aggressive tone in a positive way that your guest speaker is suggesting. My only comment is, and I don't know if this is a comment, I also worked in the government and private sector, and I'm not sure I would completely agree that government physicians or healthcare system is at the fault. I still think it's individually driven because I've seen good and bad on both sides. So perhaps we can take good examples even out of the VA, which does provide, in my opinion, outstanding surgical care, especially in terms of the plastic surgery, not in New York, though. So that's just my only comment, if I may. Otherwise, I put the commentary.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you,
Doc.
Doctor. What did you hear? What do you think about that last caller, Doc?
Well, she agrees with him.
Well, clearly I agree with in opposition to non-clinicians dictating the clinicians. She heard what I said about the VA. I'm not changing that opinion. I have extensive experience with the VA, and I invite you to ask, talk to any resident that rotates through the Veterans Administration Hospital. Don't talk to the doctors that work there because they work there. Talk to the residents that rotate through, and I'll just leave it at that. And I'm confident that you will see that my view is the prevailing view.
Okay, Doc, I got that. And again,
Doc, you're a constitutionalist, right?
Right.
That's the bottom line. I mean, so what? I mean, you must be fuming on many things that Obama has done while he was in office. All this regulation, all this stuff, and Congress just, signs off on it.
Well, you can't. Well, you said it. I mean, he couldn't do it without the connivance of the Congress.
Okay,
and
so he bribes them. He gives them goods.
Yeah, don't we have a head doctor general? What do they call it? A
surgeon general.
Don't we have the FDA? Don't we have the FDA? Don't we have the hospital?
All corrupt.
All corrupt. Every agency that exists is corrupt
today. Yeah.
Yes, every government agency pretty much is corrupt. It's the nature of the beast. I mean, if I asked you, give me the number one tip. I mean, tell me what. If I said politician, what first comes to your mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do nothing bums.
Right. Now, I'm sure there are some good politicians, And but the fact of the matter is that it's the nature of the beast.
It's all about money.
People that go into bureaucracies or into politics, why does someone go into politics? To control the lives of others. And why does someone want to be president and the senator is not good enough? Because the president controls the lives of more than the senator. So why is there a constitution? Because our founding fathers knew the proclivities of politicians. And so they created a document which would dictate to the political class what they could and what they could not do.
Right.
And what the political class did was subvert the Constitution in order to take away power from the people, to subvert the revolution, and create a fascist tyranny, which is what we have today.
Wow. You are right, Doc. We want to take another.
This is true. And,
Sure,
how do you see it ever getting fixed?
How can we fix it, Doc? Now I'm putting you. One minute, Doctor. You're in charge now. What is your solution besides the vouchers? Fix us. What's your solution to fix this?
Across the board.
Across the board, Doc.
Government.
Can we fire everybody in the medical field that's in the bureaucracy part and replace them?
Well,
agencies.
We obviously, I try to have some practicality to what I'm saying, not just burn everything down. What is the Constitution based on? The government is to protect the people from oppression, including oppression by the government. We are supposed to be free and independent. So what can we do to put the decision-making power back in the hands of the people? And presently, the only thing that I can see is the voucher program for education, for health care, but it's a universal program for all Americans to participate so that they can choose, that they can make the decision as to their health care, as to their education, and basically revert to constitutional principles. But the government won't do that, even if they thought it would work, because that takes away power from the government and from the political class and gives it to the people, and that's anathema to the average politician.
Oh. Doc, I want to ask you a personal question now. You believe in God, correct?
I believe in an authority greater than man.
Okay, good, fine, good answer. Now, Doc, there's a lot of doctors that have done. We all are human beings, Doc, and we've all made mistakes. We've all maybe broken the law, or we've done Medicaid fraud, or somebody did something bad and they lost their license. These are excellent doctors. They've served their time. They were punished. Now they want to get their licenses back. It's so complicated for them to go through the procedure. Isn't it a waste of our time and waste of good resources by not trying to put them back into the doctorship or give them back their licenses? Why must they get letters of good conduct and so on? Maybe we could just put them in a process where they could serve us. Even, yes, they were punished. Yes, maybe they shouldn't be making money or billing, but shouldn't we give them a way back in that they can help their community? Shouldn't there be a way that we can bring them back in instead of going through a process of 5 or 7 or 10 years?
That's on an individual basis. I can't answer any more than that.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
You wanted to talk about abortion.
I want to talk about abortion, which we're going to get to. So that's what was my question about that. And before we go to the break, I want to take one more call, Doc, and then you're going to hang out with us a little bit. Let's take that call. Peter, we got Peter on line 1, and I think Peter's a veteran, so we're going to have to hear from him. Peter, welcome to the Just Enough Heshy Show. You're on the phone with Dr. Gelman and Neil and me. Go ahead.
Mazel Tov and Shalom on your first year, guys. Great show.
Thank you,
Dr. Gelman. Dr. Gelman, your voice in the wilderness. You need your brothers and sisters in the medical profession to come out and say the same thing. I thank you for being on this air and telling the truth.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. So, Doctor, he's asking, how come you don't have, he did ask, how come he doesn't have more support? How come does he have more people screaming, shouting with Dr. Gelman?
You could say that about many things in this country, couldn't you?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, well, I think many people in this country feel left out of the process. And you were discussing earlier about Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump and Dr. Ben Carson and how they are acting now with the American people. Well, why is that? Because they're all outsiders. I mean, even Bernie Sanders really is kind of an outsider. And the American people, after a while, if you're talking to a wall, after a while you get tired of talking. And so I think most people feel a certain helplessness and that there's nothing they can do to change anything. I think we need to be reminded that 125 million Americans do not vote in the presidential election.
Terrible.
Barack Obama got 67 million votes. None of the above got double the votes Barack Obama did. So I think that says a lot about what the American people are actually feeling.
How did he get the people to vote for him the second time? That's what I can't understand. No, I'm serious.
Well,
really in a serious way. In other words, he's literally, I mean, he's talking like Mrs. Clinton now. They talk nonsense and just they get away with it. How does that work? I don't get it.
If con men couldn't con people, there wouldn't be any con men. Have you heard of Bernie Madoff? Does that name sound familiar to you?
Sure.
That guy was a billionaire. How about Mr. Chuck Ponzi? You ever heard of that guy?
Sure.
How about Social Security, the greatest Ponzi scheme of all time?
Correct.
So you're asking me, why are people so gullible? Because people are gullible. What do you want me to do?
Right, but their lives aren't really better now. Like for some reason, their paychecks are, the same or smaller. The roads are worse. The buses aren't running the way. Nothing is really happening that somebody should feel good like what's going on, except if they're part of the system and making money off of it.
By the way, Doc, I disagree with you on Social Security. I know a lot of young men and women are older. I'm sorry, I just met a guy I picked up on Friday. He needed a ride home, 67 years old. He says, I said, how are you making a living? He says, I'm doing some messenger service, but thank God I have my Social Security to put me over the top. I believe Social Security is $1,000 a month is helpful. I'm sorry.
Please.
There were Jews in concentration camps helping Nazis, so just spare me, okay?
Yeah, you don't get back what you put
Social
in.
Security, Social Security since 1965, the contributions to Social Security have had to go up 600% to maintain solvency in 1965 dollars. 600%, and whereas what you get, the benefits are pretty much the same. So that guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right, he's just thankful because he probably has a meal to eat.
Right. Anyways, Doc, hold on a moment. We're gonna take 2 minutes. We're gonna take a 2-minute break, and I'm gonna give my mid-show quote. And here's a quote, and this is for my boy Neil. Neil, friendship is not something you learn in school, but if you haven't learned the meaning of friendship, you haven't learned anything at all. Neil, you've taught me about friendship. You've always been there. You took my phone calls on that long trip. I love you, man. I love you. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back to the Just Enough Heshy Show in 2 minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Justin F. Show, the second hour of the show. We're on the phone with Dr. Gelman. He is South Texas. He's a CEO of a major South Texas hospital. He is an anesthesiologist, which is a very serious thing, and he does make sure that you guys, when you're going through the surgeries and stuff, that you stay alive, you stay awake, you stay calm and relaxed, that the doctors could do their jobs. And I want everybody to know I wasn't being tough on the doctor. I just wanted to be sure, because everybody goes through bad times. Maybe the doctor doesn't understand, some of us people who don't have any money, that we can't afford it. But I love his brilliant idea of vouchers for everybody in America. Yes, $5,500 a person. Let America give everybody the voucher, and boom, everybody goes out to private companies. Again, I think that there'd be a problem with it if that, there'd be one or two or three different companies that would be scoring big and getting everybody to con and go with them, but we'll have to figure out some more ideas on that. Also, we're going to talk to the doctor about the abortion issue, but I want to talk to you guys personally. The doctor is right. The next election is coming up. You got about a year before the election time is coming. Do you want Hillary? Do you want Bernie Sanders? Do you want, God forbid, you want that guy Christie from Jersey? Doctor, I want to hear about that opinion about Christie, that pig. Yes, I hate him very, very much. I don't want Donald. I really don't think he's presidential. Throwing out all the immigrants, I know the doctor doesn't like that either. But you know what? I believe that you're in my country, in our country, the country that belongs to the people of the world, illegal or not. I believe we should find a way to keep people healthy. I love the doctor's idea that we went from 64 years of age. Now we're living till our 85. My mother's 91 years old, and she should live for another 20 or 30 years. So I want you to know that, guys. I believe in healthcare. I don't. The only reason why I accept Obama healthcare is because I know what it is to go without insurance. I know what it is to be scared to go to a doctor and pay a doctor $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 that I don't have, and I have to constantly be worried about going for my foot, going for my tooth, and people getting sick. So, but the doctor's brilliant idea on how to do it. I would love the doctor to set up some kind of an oversight committee to watch all these other agencies that are ripping us off all over the place. And yeah, you hear what he says, the Constitution, brilliant, is here to help the people, that the people, they should, to watch the bureaucrats, to watch guys like Dov Hikind and Simcha Felder that don't open their mouth about healthcare because they're sitting there quietly and hiding under their rocks. A guy like David Greenfeld, hey man, you're so busy with you and what's his name again, Chaim Deutsch, with your little potholes. What about your senior citizens? Why aren't you going screaming about vouchers? Oh, you have no right to scream about vouchers? Call up Dr. Gelman. He'll give you some ideas how to scream and holler at your local state assemblies or your mayors and governors to raise this money. You're throwing away $2.5 trillion on insurance when the doctor says we can do the whole thing for 1.8. Let us do this correctly. Let us try to straighten up our act. Anyways, doctor, you're back on the air. Everybody, you can call into the show 718-303-9090. Ask the doctor about anything, and I'm gonna ask you a question, doctor. Now, and of course, since you're a constitutional man, here's something that is near and dear to my heart. You are against abortion. Am I correct?
Yes.
I think that you're wrong. I mean, abortion is a right of every person to do whatever they want with their body, and since I am, and it's accepted by the government, accepted by the Constitution. I mean, they have some. Wait. Let me finish. They have some kind of an amendment, but I'm going to let you correct me because I don't know everything. By the way, our co-host, the beautiful Esty, just walked in late, but she's beautiful, doctor. I wish you'd see her.
Sorry, my neck just woke up in the morning and it snapped.
Say hello to Dr. Gelman.
Hello, Dr. Gelman. I have been listening to what you have been saying.
But Dr. Gelman, besides that, I believe in God. And I believe God gave us God. God told us. And I know you believe in God, but God said, listen, you can't have a baby. You don't want a baby. I'm going to teach you guys how to abort the baby in a fair, not like the olden days. I'm going to teach you how to get rid of the child that you don't want, that's going to be maybe sick, that's maybe going to be abused, or you can't deal with it. I'm going to find you the good doctors to show you how to abort the children. I believe God in the Bible said, hey, if you got to do abortion, do it.
Are you done?
I hope so, doctor, because I'm quiet now.
Okay, first, let's eliminate the falsehood. First of all, the term abortion has been perverted by the Roe v. Wade decision, which is a complete nonsense. read it one day if you want a comedy routine, is better than Seinfeld. The fact of the matter is that the term abortion does not mean killing the baby through the termination of pregnancy. The term abortion means the termination of any process before completion or maturation. The Supreme Court created a perverted decision, Roe v. Wade, in which and if you read the decision, they'll say it very clearly, they made up a definition of abortion. Their definition is the termination of pregnancy was something other than a live birth. That is a perverted definition. Now, let's go back a step. The baby is not part of the mother. You are not part of your mother today, and you are not part of your mother when you were in utero. You have your own DNA structure distinct from the mother. Every organ in the mother's body has a DNA structure distinct from your DNA structure and from the infant's DNA structure. The blood type of the infant is different than the mother's. If they mix, that's a serious medical problem. The infant is an entity distinct from the mother, and our Constitution says that no person can be deprived of their life without the due process of law. Now, what you're asking is, are there circumstances then which the termination of pregnancy with the intention of killing the undelivered infant should be accepted? Well, let me first preface that with this. There are none, and I will repeat that, there are no medical conditions in either the mother or the infant that require the intentional killing of the undelivered infant. There may be circumstances which require a premature delivery in which the child cannot survive in the environment because of extreme prematurity, but there are no conditions in either the mother or the in utero infant which requires the intentional killing of the undelivered infant. Now, aside from that, what is it aside from that? So that is the canard that is being promoted now.
So you're telling me a woman, you're telling me a lady that's raped and doesn't want that baby, she can't have an abortion, correct?
Of course not, because the baby's not the rapist. We don't even execute the rapist. You're executing the innocent infant.
Okay, let's go another step. A crack baby, a baby that's going to be born on crack that's going to suffer, or missing parts of his body, or a baby that's going to be blind, or a baby that will never, ever have a life anyways. Why can't
I understand what you're saying.
Go ahead.
I understand what you're saying. Well, my point is this. The Constitution says that every person has the right to life and is required to have the due process of law before that life can be taken.
When does that life start, Doc?
Life begins at conception.
No.
Because then, wait a second.
Yeah.
Let me continue. All the parts necessary to create a human being are put into place at the moment of conception. All right?
But it didn't happen
at the moment of conception, wait a second. At the moment of conception, it is genetically a human being. How do we define a species? By their genetic structure. A turtle is a turtle because of its genetic structure.
But the baby has no brain, the baby has no heart.
I understand that.
So,
but you understand also, now you have seen infants, and infants at newly born infants look different than an infant at 1 year or a child at 5 years. A teenager looks different than a 40-year-old adult. The maturation process continues after delivery. So at what point do you say they're too immature to survive? The other thing, or to live. Now the other problem is, the reason that infants cannot achieve maturity is through the arbitrary homicide of that infant. If you left the infant alone, then the infant would grow up to be a mature adult human being. Now, when a patient is on a ventilator, insensate, where they're in a coma, we don't allow them to disconnect the person without any reason whatsoever because of the possibility if there's a possibility that that person may recover, then we do our utmost to protect. With that
Other
infant,
countries
it's more
are
than a
changing that.
possibility.
Other countries are changing their laws on there.
What difference does that make to us? You want to be like Cuba? Who cares what other countries do?
And I think
You were talking
Sweden,
about immigration.
Switzerland, yeah.
You're talking about the people that were killing Jews, right? That's what you're talking about?
No, I don't think it's the same people, no.
No,
Oh, it is the same
and also,
people.
what about do not
It is the same
necessitate?
people.
There are a lot of
And
people.
they want to do it again, believe me. There probably aren't any Jews left over there. Let me explain, so the thing is that you were talking earlier about immigration. I agree with you. This country should open its arms to anyone who wants to be an American citizen, because an American is not an ethnicity. A German is an ethnic group. A Pole is an ethnic group. But an American is a Pole, is a Mexican, is a Russian, is a Kenyan, because to be an American is to be a culture, is to be an ideology. It is not an ethnic group. It is not a race. It is an ideology.
You are
And
wonderful,
therefore-
Rock. Wonderful, wonderful. I love you. You are wonderful. I never even know how to express it. You just expressed it the best I've ever heard.
And everyone who wants to be an American, but I mean be an American, should be allowed to be an American. Jews more than anyone should understand that. Look what they did to us. Look what they did to my family and maybe your family when they tried to escape from the Germans and the Ukrainians and all the other anti-Semites, and they were turned away at the border of every country. I remember, I talked to my dad, I talked to my mom. I know what happened to them and their families. They were helpless against the brutality, not only of Nazis, but the brutality of Franklin Roosevelt, who turned them away at the shores of the United States. So I feel for those people. I believe if you want to live as an American, you ought to be an American, be allowed to be an American.
But legally. Legally, correct?
Well, no.
Yes, of course, but I think the legal process has to be expedited a great deal. I mean,
How many
let's look at
lives
the-
were saved because of it? Like,
Because of what?
how many lives could have been saved? If America, let's say, allowed anyone to be a citizen, do you know how many lives would have been saved? So many. But we didn't
Yes.
know it.
But Doc, so you're not voting for Donald
6
Trump.
million, 6 million Jews for one.
That's right. And Doc, but you believe, so for sure you're not voting for Donald Trump. That much I can guess.
I didn't know I had the chance to vote just yet.
Wait. I thought Donald Trump was pro letting people come into America.
No. Donald Trump wants all the immigrants out.
And he
throw
wants
them
to,
out.
but he wants to put them in legally.
No.
He does.
But the process, you heard what the doctor
He
said.
needs workers. What are
The
you talking
process
about?
is so complicated. You can't be an American. And so,
But they'll say yes to everyone. It'll just take time.
so Doc, I have another question. In China,
Yeah.
in China,
That's interesting.
in China today,
Yeah.
you're only allowed to have one child and two if you buy it. So they actually give out
Unless you're a
contraceptives,
politician.
right? And they allow also. They not allow. They've been pushing abortion for years and years, and nobody even screams. Nobody says a word about it. Tell me about that. I mean, what's your opinion?
But but you're saying because someone does an evil act and gets away with it, that it's okay for us to do an evil act because other people have gotten away with it? I have a little trivia, interesting points for you, and you can verify it yourself if you don't believe me. You can put every person alive into the state of Texas today, and they will be living in a population density less than 1/2 of Manhattan, New York.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I can't.
Go ahead, look at the numbers.
I agree with
the
you.
math.
You can put 300 million people in Texas?
No, you can put 7. No, everyone in the world. 7 billion. You can put 7 billion people into Texas, and we'll have a population density less than 1/2 the population density in Manhattan, New York.
Wow.
So I don't know why people don't spread out a little, man.
Well,
You know what? If we made companies in these places, like remember my city you thought was fake, if you can make some work for people, opening up different things, then you can. I'm just saying that then we can get people to go there, and you can get your citizenship. You have to live in Texas for 5 years.
Wait, but look, that's not what you're saying. You don't think Manhattan is too dense, densely populated?
Exactly.
But people love it. But they love it.
So let's make a lot of places dense, so all of them are a little less dense.
Try to buy an apartment or a condo in Manhattan. You can't do it. It's so expensive because everybody wants to live there. So many people think it's such a great place to live. I love visiting Manhattan. But what I'm saying is that you could have a living environment like Manhattan, and somebody has figured out how to get water and food.
No, because they have better jobs.
I'm just saying that the human mind is capable of achieving incredible things. And that when we try to limit ourselves to what we see rather than what can be achieved, then we lose what we are as human beings. Because remember, we are supposed to try to strive beyond what we have. We are the only species that can actually modify the environment so that we can exist better in an environment. No other species can do that.
Okay, Doc,
we can. Yeah,
we're gonna. Esti's gonna give us a commercial break, and we're gonna take a few phone calls.
I'm letting you do it. I want to see if you can do it as good as me.
Anyways, Doc. By the way, this show is on Monday and Tuesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. You can reach us on Facebook. You can see us on Facebook.
Like our page.
And don't forget, Ralph Romeo follows our show. He's a wonderful man. He always comments on my quotes. So I love Ralph. You can get us on Twitter, my daily quotes, and you can at Just Enough Heshy. You can get us on YouTube by typing in Just Enough Heshy, Heshy, or you can just email me your questions or find out who our advertisers are or upcoming guests by typing in justenouggheshy@gmail.com. Send me any question you want. Call Dr. Gelman at 718-303-9090. Our show is being sponsored by Mr. Clean Delivers. He pickups and drop-offs at 25% off if you mention the Just Enough Heshy Show. 347-369-3051. Again, 347-369-3051. He's doing a great job for me. Black Label Electric Cigarettes. I'm sure the doctor wants everybody to quit smoking, so healthcare will be a little bit easier. BL Premium, PREMIUMECIG.com, or just call Mikey at 561-239-8941, or Green Line Building Solutions. We do asbestos and lead inspections, DOB, HPD, code compliance. We do lift stop work orders, free consultations, plans, permits, and we help you get you to the finish line. At least we try. Sometimes we can't, but we try to help you. And, you know, I had a lady the other day who called me up and said, help me. Has she helped me? She came running. She sat there for 2 hours. She gave us her money. She calls me back up today. I can't do it. I'm so nervous. I can't do it. Boom. I says, come on in, young lady. Here's your money back. Don't worry about our consultation fees. We want to take care of you. Be good. Anyway, 718-871-0382. You're on the air with Dr. Gelman. Dr. Gelman, we are going to take a phone call. Let's go. Attach whatever, Andrew or any. Line 2. He's been waiting. Andrew, you're on the air with Dr. Gelman, Esty, and Neil.
Hello, Heshy.
How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, I'm a little curious with the thing that we were talking about. It seemed like America was to blame for half the people dying in World War II.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I didn't either.
Yeah, Andrew, your radio. What was your question?
Heshy made it seem like, you know, half of the people that died in World War II were because of America.
Oh no! All the Jews that died were because of America. Did I make a mistake there?
No, you did not.
No.
I believe World War II was because of America not getting.
It's not solely their fault. It's everyone's fault. They're not specifically above everyone else. You know, it's the Nazis' fault. They persecuted them. You know, like.
They are.
No, they are partly responsible, but there were just as many other people that also didn't help them. I'm just saying they're equal. They're not worse.
The railroads,
Right.
man.
Right. If America would have just.
They did help eventually.
Right, Andrew.
They never helped.
Right.
No concentration camp.
Okay, who stopped the war?
Liberated.
Wasn't it Americans?
America stopped the war.
Right.
America stopped.
So eventually they did step up, but it took them a while.
But Andrew, it's too late when you do that. You know, when you see somebody getting shot and you mix it.
How many people got saved from them?
If the United States
come on.
had open borders,
you want to blame Winston Churchill because Winston Churchill let it happen, but you don't blame America.
Yeah.
Just because of their policies not letting people in. Nowadays, their policies are a little
If there was a different president.
What are you talking about? Franklin Roosevelt personally refused to accept 20,000 Jewish children. Franklin Roosevelt personally refused to turn back ships that arrived at American shores. So just spare me, okay, with this nonsense. The United States, yes, didn't kill all the Jews, but the United States could have saved all the Jews simply by opening the border to the Jews. That's all they would have, that they would have saved the vast majority of Jews. And
so what you're saying is nowadays that they should allow in all the immigrants? It's basically the same thing. You can't, just because you're a Jew doesn't mean you can pick and choose and say, oh, let in the Jews, but don't let in the Hispanics that are coming in.
I'm not choosing.
We're not talking. He's not talking about. He's not talking about the Jews, Andrew. I'm talking about the Mexicans. They're being persecuted there. They're being killed on the borders. The drug cartels. They want to get a better life, and America promises the world a better life. It is our responsibility.
It's not true.
You heard what the doctor said. America is not a race. America is something bigger, and our job here is to be the melting pot, to be one world. And you heard there's enough place here to handle everybody. You were just being greedy. We just want more for ourselves, Andrew. And yes, I do blame America for killing the Jews. I do blame America for World War II, and I do believe that they saw it coming and they thought they could make a little profit. You know that America was in the middle between England and Germany and supplying both sides of the war. They were making a nice little profit there for a while. So yes, America is to blame. Thank you for your call, Andrew. We're going to take another call, Dr. Gelman. Mitch, you're on the air with Uncle Heshy and Dr. Gelman and the crew. How are you, Mitch?
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Esty. How you doing tonight?
How's it going?
Great. Dr. Gelman, though I agree with you on some things, one of the things which I totally disagree with you is this. When you're talking, for example, about the abortion situation, which I totally disagree with you. Unfortunately, people love when the Supreme Court rules in how they feel. You know, I could go back to the 50s and 40s where many conservatives loved what the Supreme Court was ruling, including the concept of you remember separate but equal? Wasn't that a wonderful thing this country used to do for the African Americans?
Mitch, let him answer. Go ahead, Dr. Gelman.
First of all, if you're going to consider the Supreme Court a legitimate authority in the Constitution, our conversation is over. The Constitution does not give the Supreme Court nor the federal courts any authority whatsoever over any of those issues whatsoever. Look at the structure of the Supreme Court. First of all, the Supreme Court, if you read the authority of the Supreme Court, is between states and between the United States and foreign countries. It has no authority within a state, period. Okay? And the federal government has no authority over the Bill of Rights because the Bill of Rights were created to protect the Americans from the federal government. So the federal government has no authority over the Bill of Rights. Now, when the Supreme Court was created, there was not a number of justices. And they passed a law which created 6 justices, and the number has changed from 6 to 10. The Supreme Court was never meant to be an arbiter of the determiner of the Constitution. What is the purpose of a court, of a judge? The system of jurisprudence is to explain the law and adjudicate under the law. They are not supposed to create the law. If you look at the legislative process and the amendment process in the Constitution, the Supreme Court is completely left out of both. Now, do you think the Founding Fathers would have given the authority to the Supreme Court to determine the constitutionality of issues? By the way, I love how people like you always talk about the Founding Fathers. Do you know, here's a little example, a little education, as long as you're trying to educate the entire world, Dr. Gelman, because you think that you don't need it here. Let me just tell you one thing. When the Founding Fathers, and I do know a little bit about this, and I listen to Mark Levine, so don't tell me I don't know anything about constitutional law. One thing very important to understand. The Founding Fathers let the United States get into a situation where we let something called slavery become part of the original situation so that eventually, 100 years later, we could kill 500,000 people involved in the Civil War. Don't tell me about the Founding Fathers.
Okay, guys. Okay. We're both over talking.
I'll push you because you think that we're idiots. You can't educate me.
Okay, 1 minute. Let Dr. Gelman, Mitch. Thank
I'm
you.
educated, Mr. Heshy.
I got you. I want to hear Dr. Gelman. Mitch, thank you for your call. We're gonna have Dr. Gelman.
What does he have against Mark
He has
Levine?
great works of art, great symphonies, great composers, great musicians, great scientists that have done great and amazing things, who in their personal lives are not perfect. Okay? The Constitution is what we're talking about. The Founding Fathers had their issues. Okay? They were not perfect, but they created a system of government that was as close to perfect as has ever been created and has been undermined. So I don't care that Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. Thomas Jefferson wrote that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what Thomas Jefferson wrote. The fact that he had slaves is irrelevant. What is important is the legacy that they left us. The Constitution is clearly written, all equal under the law. But just because the people that wrote the Constitution and wrote the Declaration of Independence and fought the Revolutionary War were not perfect, doesn't mean that the Constitution cannot stand on its own. And I get so tired of these people, these nincompoops who think that they know something, that they read the history of Thomas Jefferson or Alexander Hamilton, and they found weaknesses in their character, and therefore the Constitution is invalid. That's just childish. And it would seem to me that I would rather field questions of a little more significance than that kind of
I'm sorry. No, 1 minute, but I'm sorry. I just don't know why you're so like tight around this. You know, this was written a long time ago. You know, stuff changes a little bit.
You don't know what you're talking about. The Constitution, the Founding Fathers put in the Constitution copyright protection. Why do you suppose that is? Because they didn't think anything was going to change. But the Constitution, we had Benjamin Franklin as an inventor. Thomas Jefferson was an inventor. The Constitution that relates, what it's there for is the relationship between the people and the government. And that is timeless. It has nothing to do whether you're riding a horse or driving around in a car or flying in a jet. Okay.
What's your opinion? What's your opinion on the on guns in America? The right to bear arms. Is that? Can I ever get rid of that stupid law that I want nobody to have?
Why do you consider it stupid? Why do you consider it stupid?
Okay, Doc. I'll tell you why, Doc. I'll tell you why, Doc. You are a doctor. 200,000 shootings last year. 2,046 murders in my city. I saw somebody shot and killed in my city. I am tired of this. A cop got killed the other day for no reason.
What are you talking about?
It's abuse.
6 million unarmed Jews were slaughtered in Europe.
Right.
Why did Hitler and Stalin, why do dictators take away weapons? Why do they take away weapons from the people? So can we, what the Founding Fathers said, put the number 2, the Second Amendment says, is the right to bear arms, to keep a state free. That's what it's there for, to keep the well-regulated militia is necessary in order to keep a state free. Therefore,
that's not what happens. Because everyone has guns, it doesn't actually protect us from each other. It just hurts each other. We want it to be strong for the government, right? In case the government ever goes against us, right?
Right, Doc. And again, just like abortion, right? Abortion wasn't done cleanly and safely back then. It's a right of every woman to do whatever she wants with her body. Wait, Doc. You're screaming at me. I'm telling you now that it's my right. It's my right to have an abortion with my body.
It's not your right.
Sure, if I want to cut off my finger, it's my right to cut off my finger.
Wait, he doesn't believe in abortion?
No.
What about the right? Yes, I'm a Jewish person, therefore I believe in the sanctity of life.
So the Jewish law says you have 40 days.
Right, Jewish law.
Would you spare me? Then you say that slavery is wrong.
How about this? When I don't want to have my kid and I find out I'm pregnant a week later, I'm going to put it in your stomach and you have to carry it for 9 months. Okay, we can do that. And the child will live. No, I'm sorry. Okay, if you get pregnant by mistake and it's not even a lie, and if you would make it have a bad life, we don't need more dysfunctional kids. We need, if they won't have where to go, they won't be responsible. Like,
okay, look, look, you can talk all the nonsense you want. You want to talk over me? Cut off my microphone. Do whatever you want. I can refute everything you said is complete nonsense.
You see, putting down the other person in an argument means you don't have an answer. Like, just I've learned this. When you put it down, it means you have nothing to say. Like, you have to give me a legitimate answer.
Okay, I'll ask you a question. Is the infant part of the mother's body?
Yeah.
Well, why should I talk to you? Because that is grossly unscientifically incorrect. You can talk to anyone. You can even talk to an abortionist. Okay?
The child doesn't know it's alive. It's like a seed. You're like, oh, there's a seed here. Unless the flower grew, you're not ripping it out of the ground.
Look, I don't want to be yelling and screaming at you. The baby is not part of the mother.
You ever notice that it's women usually who are pro-abortion and men who aren't?
You don't let him talk.
How is that fair?
I'm not letting him talk.
Look, the fact. So you're saying that because I'm not in the same environment as you, that therefore I should allow murder to be committed because I don't.
Not murder.
You could say, of course, it's murder. You could say the same thing.
Is killing a rock murder? What is the difference?
You're saying that the undelivered infant is. Did you say rock?
It's not an infant.
It's not
1 week.
It's not anything yet. It's the same as rock.
Who are you to define? Science says.
Who are you to define that a stone isn't living and you heard it when you hit it?
It's not me.
I mean, Jews believe
each talking about. I can do that. I can hook up all kinds of probes to a rock and then hit it with a hammer, and I can demonstrate that it's not feeling any pain. Okay? No, I mean, you're not in New York anymore. Okay? This is Texas. We understand things a little better. So the fact of the matter is that the genetic structure.
So I have to have the kid. No way out.
The genetic structure.
Excuse me to death.
What about the child? What about the way out for the child? The Constitution says no person can be deprived of life without the due process.
Yeah,
of
he's
law.
not a person yet, and he doesn't have life yet.
You know, they said that a slave was not a citizen, therefore had no constitutional rights. Dred Scott decision, 1857. Who are you to say that you're going to decide when the infant is a person? Okay.
Oh, I don't know. And it has a brain? Having arms and limbs doesn't make it a person. It doesn't even have a heart yet.
The infant has all the necessary infrastructure
for it to grow, not what it is.
And doctor, you keep saying Doc, you keep saying that the baby is not part of the, and I agree with you, the baby is not part of the mother's being. But isn't the baby connected to the mother? So if the mother disconnects that, the umbilical cord, or doesn't feel like feeding it, the baby dies anyway. So it must be a part of the woman. And if the woman wants to remove it,
what's part of the woman has the same genetic structure as the woman. If the mother doesn't feed the infant after the infant is delivered, the infant will die as well. So the fact that the baby receives nutrition in utero doesn't make the infant part of the mother. Whatever is part, if I take any cell from any organ in the mother, it will have the same genetic structure. If I take a cell from an infant, if I give it to a pathologist and I give him the two cells and I don't tell him, he's going to tell me that this is from two separate human entities, and both are human. And when they look at the cell and the DNA structure, that pathologist or microbiologist is not going to be able to tell me how old that person is or anything else. They'll tell me what the sex is, but they can't tell me how old that individual is. That cannot tell whether it's.
And this is the next day? This is the next day after conception?
This is a moment. No, this is the moment of conception. At the very moment of
when it's like a nugget?
The genetic structure. Nugget.
So, Doc, forget about it. I don't want to ask these comments.
Wait, what if we can have incubators, okay? What if straight from the stomach can go over there so that the women don't have to carry it, but the babies can live? You know, incubators, Doc, you would take it out of the stomach and put it in some sort of machine so the mother doesn't have to have it and the child isn't killed until it comes out.
In 1963, John F. Kennedy's 1962, John F. Kennedy's newborn baby, Patrick, died because the baby was born prematurely at 30 weeks. Today, we routinely save babies at 23 weeks. it is possible to save babies even younger than that. I don't know. The point is simply this: in this country, and I think you would understand this. In Germany, Jews had their citizenship stripped from them by the government, and they were sent off to concentration camps because they were not considered human. They were considered subhuman. And you're sitting there telling me that the in-utero infant is subhuman and therefore can be killed. How is your argument different than the Nazi argument?
He's saying it's not literally, it's not even in existence. But Doc,
but that's what the Nazi said. That's what the Nazi said.
Okay, but
that's so different. I can't begin to tell you. It's
Doc,
like such
the
different.
Nazis were wacko, and Doc, we have millions.
Yes, we consider something that's not human to be not human. That's not weird.
Everybody, stop. We have hundreds of millions of abortions throughout the last couple of years. You're talking that the whole world is crazy. The whole world is whacked with this abortion thing.
Can I ask you something? What country in the world saved the Jews in 1939 to 1945? What country went out of their way to save the Jews besides Bulgaria?
America?
Okay. The United States did not save a single Jew. Did not save a single Jew. No concentration camp was intentionally liberated. No concentration camp was bombed. Even though Jews were asking the camp to be bombed to stop the slaughter. Do you know when Hungary? Do you are aware of the history of the killing of the Jews in Hungary?
No.
Are you aware that the Jews of Hungary were untouched for 13 months after the Warsaw Rebellion was crushed? Then in May of 1944, every Jew in Hungary was still alive, and that by December of that year, 80% of them were dead.
Yeah.
Okay. 1940. Okay.
That was terrible, Doc. That was a different world. We're living in a different world today.
What are you talking about? A different world? Have you seen? Do you think? What are you talking about? Look what's happening to the Christians in the Middle East. Look what's happening to the Jews in the Middle East. What kind of a different world are you talking about?
Well, Doc, the Jews in the Middle East are taking good care of themselves, and they're never going to let this happen again. And you're right, the Christians in the Middle East are doing it to themselves. Their brothers and sisters are not going out to defend them. No, we Jews are watching Israel. We have our eyes open, and we're not going to let this ever happen again.
You know what? I wish it was true.
This time they'll have bombs. It'll be different.
You don't think Iran with the bomb is different, Heshy?
Yeah.
You don't think Iran with a bomb is different?
I believe that if they have the bomb, we have to blow them up, but I don't believe they're going to make the bomb.
Okay, they have it already.
You know, my father...
I don't think Heshy will ever eat a sandwich again. It's like such a random statement based on nothing.
My father told me in Poland in the 1930s, when Hitler rose to power, that no one believed what he was saying. And I'll tell you something else that my father said. I asked my father, why did you not have any resistance? And he said, because they had all the guns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Exactly. Get rid of the guns. Get rid of the guns.
You're talking stupid.
Get rid of all the guns.
We have the Second Amendment.
Doctor, I want to take another caller. Patch line wanted to us. Doc, we have Heshy on the line. Another Heshy, not me. Heshy, you're on there with Uncle Heshy, Neil, and Dr. Gelman, and of course my beautiful Esty. What do you got for us tonight, Hesh?
Yes, Dr. Gelman, you are on target. The society is terrible today. What about ISIS chopping people's heads off? You're on target. And then they have gay marriage, too. Whoever heard this craziness going on? This whole society is crazy, dangerous, and anti-Jewish.
But this is what the people want.
And I assume, Heshy, that you're against abortion.
Absolutely. Abortion is murder.
You have a child and then tell me if it's murder.
And Heshy, again.
No, the doctor said it's never okay, and there's never a reason that the mother can't survive or could survive. It's a separate entity. No. That's what the doctor said.
We as Jews go according to the Torah. And
the Torah says you have 40 days. Look it up.
And the Torah is wrong. The Torah tells you that we're allowed.
The Torah's not wrong. It says 40 days. If you believe in the Torah, then you know that up to 40 days it's allowed.
What are you talking about?
It's not allowed.
You're allowed to have an abortion up to 40 days. Look it up.
I want to ask you.
I can look up that the Jews had slaves. You want slaves? What are you?
So now we don't listen to what they say. You pick and choose.
Are you allowed to commit suicide?
You go according to what science says. You go The truth is the truth. Lies are
You're not allowed to commit suicide.
Why not? Why not?
Heshy, since you're mixing it, since you're mixing it in, Dr. Gelman, what is your opinion on gay marriage?
Why did you just change the topic?
Okay. No, I'll answer that. What people do in their private lives through mutual consent is their business. But for society to go into the schools and tell our children that homosexual lifestyle is a normal alternate lifestyle, that I don't agree with.
Okay, a very good point. Heshy, thank you for your call. We appreciate it, Hesh. And we're going to talk to Dr. Gelman a little bit more. Dr. Gelman, I'm going to have to do one more time our advertisers, otherwise they won't come back. And we're on the air with Dr. Gelman. Call into the show at 718-303-9090. You can seem to ask Dr. Gelman.
A constitutionalist.
He's a constitutionalist. He's very, very well versed in it. And we're on Monday and Tuesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. So we'll be back tomorrow night. I don't know who our guest is tomorrow night, but I'll get that in a minute. We're on Facebook. You can reach us at just typing in Just Enough Heshy, see my quotes, see my trivia questions for the day. You can get me on Twitter by typing in hashtag Just Enough Heshy, and you can join me on my Twitter app, and you'll see my daily quotes as well. You can see us live on YouTube by typing in Just Enough Heshy, JUSTENOUGHHESHY. Everybody should know that by now. Or you can just get me an email at justenoughheshy@gmail.com, and we'll give out all of our guests. We'll let you be able to be in touch with Dr. Gelman as well as many of our previous guests. Call into the show at 718-303-9090. Remember, our last show is on September 8th. Season 1 ends, and we begin Season 2 on October the 12th. After our show, the great Ralph Romeo, who I love so much, he contacts me every morning. He's just a wonderful man. He's following us afterwards. Please call our sponsors at Mr. Clean Delivers, picks ups and drop-offs, 25% off on any of your first order, and then afterwards, I think he gives you 15%. 347-369-3051, 347-369-3051. I'm telling you, I use him. He's really wonderful. Black Label Electric Cigarette, BL Premium, PREMIUMESIG.com, or just call my boy Mikey, 561-239-8941, or Green Line Building Solutions. They do asbestos, lead inspections, DOB, HPD code compliance, stop lift work orders, free consultations, plans, permits, and all the rest. Call them at 718-871-0382.
By Jeremy Stern. And yeah, if anybody from his organization around, call him tomorrow night.
Right. Dr. Gelman, I want to take another caller. We're going to take Jim from Jersey, it looks like. Jim, you're on the air with Dr. Gelman, and what do you got for him tonight, Jim?
Hello?
Yes, Jim. Shut off your radio and ask Dr. Gelman what you got to do.
I don't know how you got my name, but boy, you got a firecracker overnight tonight. It's Dr. Gelman, and he's no firecracker or a cherry bomb. He's a piece of dynamite. Okay, my comment is I'm 66 years old. I surfed the waves on the radio, etc. Many years ago. I heard that there was a connection between abortion and breast cancer. That when a woman is whatever that word is, when a woman is developing the food, the milk for the child, that is discontinued, that can cause some kind of problem. I heard this many years ago, and I wanted to share that with you folks.
Thank you, Jim, for your call. Thank you. Dr. Gelman, what did he just say? I mean, is that
it seems
something?
like such a conspiracy theory.
No, I get it. But, I mean, I don't know. I've heard that. It's off topic. You don't kill the infant because the infant is a human being. But real quick, some people apparently are sending some questions. Real quick to answer, just to see them, because they bothered to ask the question. Somebody asked if physician facilities are better run than non-physicians. Well, let me ask you this. If you were going to build a bridge, would you go to a firm of engineers or of lawyers? Okay? Another questioner asked, medical school, should I go? I'm in it. Should I stay in it? I advise my daughter to go into medicine, and she's doing a residency now. That should answer that question. And I think that's. And the other one are just corroborating what I said. So
Okay, I got you, Doc. Okay. So basically, it's not real thing that cancer is connected to.
I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think it's really relevant to what we're discussing.
Well, if my life was in danger by me having a baby, I would have bought the baby right away.
No. Listen to what I said. Try to understand what I'm saying. If there are illnesses in pregnancy, which are particular to pregnancy. However, the solution to that problem is the termination of the pregnancy, which does not necessitate the killing of the infant. Every day in this country, every day in hospitals throughout this country, babies are delivered prematurely because of a condition that the baby is having or the mother is having that warrants a premature termination of the pregnancy. Abortions of pregnancy are performed to save the life of the infant. So let's get our words correct, our definitions correct. Let's understand that. And this idea that somehow that a mother had a better understanding of human life because they can get pregnant and men can't. Men have their own deals. I mean, if you're saying that you actually have to experience something in order to understand it, do you mean I have to be a slave to understand slavery? Are you saying I have to be a Jew in Europe to understand persecution?
Yes.
That's what you think?
You can feel
well, you know what?
Someone went through without going through it. No.
You know what?
I don't understand. I don't understand the African American plight. I don't understand the issues that the black people are going through of discrimination. I wish I did. I make believe I do. But the truth is, you and me, Doc, we don't know what 1/10 of the pressure and the stuff they go through. Sure, a couple of the African American.
You give me a break. You got white people pretending to be black. Will you spare me this nonsense? My gosh. The fact of the matter is, what distinguishes the United States and the Constitution is that, look, you like the New York Yankees and somebody else likes the Boston Red Sox, and you hate each other because of that. The difference in this country is that racism is not institutionalized. Are there racists? Of course there are racists. There are blacks who are racist. There are whites who are racist. There are Asians who are racist. That's human nature. The distinction is everyone has to be equal under the law in this country. In Germany, Jews are second-class citizens. Non-Germans are second-class citizens. In this country, everyone is equal under the law. And that is the distinction these people fail to understand. Is there racism? Yes, of course there is. People hate Jews because they're Jews. People hate blacks because they're blacks. People hate whites because they're whites. But when it comes to the institution of the government is to protect the people from that, and that was what distinguishes us from all other countries in the world, that there's no institutionalization of racism in this country under the Constitution.
Under the Constitution, but in reality, there's affirmative action.
Yes.
Doc, we want to take a caller from Manhattan. Hello, can we take the caller line 3 where the phones are lighting up for you, Doc? So we're going to take a bunch of calls before we end the show. Dove, you're on the air with Uncle Heshy and Dr. Gelman and Esty and Neil. Let's go. Connect and patch him through, our famous producer over there. He's laughing. I don't know. Doesn't look like we're getting their call. Dove, can you hear us?
Somebody's radio's going.
I know, somebody's radio's going. Hello, Dove, you're on the air with Dr. Gelman. How are you tonight?
Hello?
Shut off your radio. You're on the air.
Yeah. Hello?
Go ahead, Dove. Okay, we lost Dove. We'll take another caller. Line one. Go ahead, take line 1. You're on the air with Uncle Heshy and Dr. Gelman. How are you?
Yeah, how you doing? I just wanted to first commend the doctor on his wonderful bedside manner. He's extremely informative. If it wasn't for the fact that he was very derogatory towards a lot of the callers, I think he'd make a better point. But I just wanted to ask him one question with regards to the Constitution. He mentioned that the Constitution was the most perfect document, as close as possible to perfection. Is that correct, Doctor?
Formation of a government, yes. Yes, that's right.
Okay, but it was man-made, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if the Constitution on its face, the words of the Constitution on its face can be interpreted by the court, then it will be interpreted by the court based upon what the words mean. But sometimes the words are ambiguous, and therefore the court comes in and they try to determine what was the meaning.
I don't want to be discourteous. You obviously weren't paying attention. The Supreme Court has no ability to interpret the Constitution. The 10th Amendment says very clearly, the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by the state, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Okay? The Supreme Court does not determine what rights are, does not define rights, does not interpret the Constitution according to the Constitution. It's because people like you think that they should be able to do that, but I might remind you that it was the Supreme Court that said slavery was legal. There was a Supreme Court that said separate but equal was legal. There was a Supreme Court that said, now get this, Buck versus Bell. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that forced abortion of the embryo infant by the state is constitutional. And of course, we have the Roe v. Wade decision, which is a bunch of nonsense. Let me say this, people: there is no right to privacy in the Constitution.
Wow.
That's made up.
Doctor, I want to take another call, Doctor, but I want to ask you a question.
Right to privacy.
There's no, the Constitution is not giving you that.
There's no right to privacy. There's no right to privacy. The right of the people to be secure in their person's houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause.
Right.
Supported by both
we do have privacy.
You don't. No.
No,
You don't. The doctor says. Right. The doctor says that anybody can just give probable cause in your trouble. Doctor, a question before we take the next caller. Do you have abortions in your hospital?
No.
Under no circumstances.
Under no circumstances.
Even though the law says that you have no choice but to give it to me.
I don't know if the law says that.
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you. You ask a very important question. You make a very important point. What's going to happen in this country, and you heard it from me, is that the government is going to go to hospitals and say, if you want to remain within the Medicare and Medicaid system, you must allow abortion of the undelivered infant.
Yeah, that's not
the life of the undelivered infant. That is exactly what's going to happen. You wait and see.
Well, that's what the Catholics are fighting, right?
Fighting but losing. The Constitution is based on individual rights. You know, our congressmen and senators are not only ignoramuses, they're narcissists, okay? They have decided to do what they're talking about, and you can tell it every single day by what's going on over there. So the Constitution, the rights are individual. You had some congressman the other day said rights are held by institutions. No, rights are held by individuals. Now, we honor every person in Europe that went against the law to save a Jew, because they went against the law to save a Jew. No country went against the law to save a Jew, only individuals. Now, you might say, so you're saying to me, and that's going to be a moral question to me, if they force our hospital to do abortions or be out of the Medicare and Medicaid system, do I have the ethical strength to say we're out of Medicaid and Medicare and go bankrupt? Do I have the ethical strength to do that? It's a test that's waiting to happen. It's so easy for us to blame the Germans. But when a gun is pointed to your head and said, you either turn in the Jew or we're going to take you instead, when we're in that position, then we can judge others.
Doc, we got 5 minutes left. I want to take a few calls. We're taking line 5 right now. Let's take line 5 because we're going to do a speed round of calls right now. Guys, ask yourself a quick question, and Dr. Gelman will give you a quick answer. Go ahead. We got line 5 on the call.
Heshy. Heshy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And Esty. Listen, I'm a Gentile, and you got a beautiful doctor there, Jewish doctor, and he knows what he's talking about. He's very intelligent. And I'll tell you, nowhere in the Torah does it say you could kill babies. I don't believe Hashem said you could do that for 40 days.
He doesn't consider it babies yet. God knows it when a person is considered a person,
Esty.
and he said 40 days.
Esty, life begins at conception.
You're gonna tell God that?
God told us that.
No, he said we have 40 days according to the Torah.
Joseph,
where in the Torah does it say that?
Joseph,
I'll find it.
we're going to take another caller, but thank you. That was very interesting. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let's take another call. Line number, let's take three. Go ahead. Dove, you got another chance, Dove, so let's not mess it up. How are you?
Hi, Bill from Manhattan. You're truly blessed tonight to have Dr. Gelman on. Dr. Gelman has more knowledge about the Constitution than most of the imbeciles on the Supreme Court do. And not only that, he's an anesthesiologist, so he's not a slacker or whatever you call him. He knows his stuff inside, outside, and backwards. And with one hand tied behind his back, he could take on anybody, including the people on the Supreme Court.
Thank you,
Dr.
Dove.
Gelman is phenomenal.
Thank you, Dove. Thank you for your
Thanks
call.
for listening.
So, let's take another call. Line one. Let's go. Take line one. Doc, so far you've been winning, Doc. Let's go. You're on the air with Dr. Gelman and the crew here. Go ahead.
Is that me?
You got it, Naftali. Go ahead.
Hey, now, listen, my dad was in World War II, and World War II we did help end World War II, and we did it because we were isolationists up until we had to get in. The other part is, I agree with FD, every fertilized egg does not need to become a human being because it doesn't work out that way. It's practical.
Thank you, Naftali. Thank you for your opinion.
Okay.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead. You got a minute to answer him.
Fine. The United States went into war in 1941, not to save the Jews, but to save Stalin. If you look at what was going on historically, you will find that when France and Holland and Belgium fell, the United States didn't care. It didn't care that England was being bombed. They all fell in 1939 through 1940, okay? What happened in the summer of 1941 that made Roosevelt want to go to war? It was the attack of the Germans on the Soviet Union. Franklin Roosevelt was what is essentially a communist, okay, or a fascist, whichever you want to look at. And after the war was over, the United States handed over all of Eastern Europe and hundreds of millions of Chinese to communist dictatorships that slaughtered millions and millions of people. So just spare me. The United States went in there to save the world. Not only did we not save the world, we handed more of the world into slavery by entering World War II. And one other little fact, England and France declared war on Germany, not the other way around, okay? And the United States went into the war to save Stalin and the Bolsheviks and not to free Europe and sure not to save the Jews. And no Jew was intentionally saved by any military unit. No Jew, no concentration camp. No concentration camp was liberated. No Jew intentionally saved. In fact, when the Americans got there, they were shocked when they found the concentration camps, weren't they? Because nobody would tell them, and nobody would acknowledge any of that. Franklin Roosevelt, one was Franklin Roosevelt. He locked up 150,000 innocent Japanese because of race, and he deported 1 million Mexicans out of the country because of the Depression. Franklin Roosevelt was a fascist and a racist, and you guys in New York think that he's some kind of a god.
Dr. Gelman,
I gotta tell you, you are a pleasure.
You're a pleasure,
and you certainly gave us stuff we did not know.
Doctor, I gotta close up the show, but I want to tell you, thank you so much for coming to our show. You are a genius, and if you ever run for office, you're my guy. I'll tell you one thing. Thank you, Dr. Gelman. Anyways, everybody, we're coming down to the last 20 seconds of the show, and here's my quote for the night, and here we go. I always tell my kids, if you lay down, people will step over you. But if you keep scrambling, if you keep going, if you keep dancing, if you keep moving, you just might not get stepped on. But you keep dancing. You got to keep your feet moving. We'll be back tomorrow night, everybody, between 7 and 9 p.m. Stay tuned for Ralph Romeo.
We got good stuff tomorrow night.